Present.
Here. Here. Thank you. We will call agenda item PUD-21-9, consideration of new elevations for Bridge Pines West. And we have the petitioner here on behalf of Tony Picato, and hear from the staff first.
Good afternoon, everyone. Presented before you today is PUD 21-9, a consideration of new home elevations for the Bridger Pines 2 PUD. As I'm sure you are all happy, if not surprised to hear, Tony Picato is the petitioner on behalf of Lennar. Again, the new elevations are considered for inclusion within the Bridger Pines 2 PUD, also known as the Bridger Pines West subdivision. This specific request is necessary per Bridger Pines 2 PUD section 1.06-C, which requires PUD committee approval before the introduction of new elevations or new architectural features into the PUD. The Bridger Pines West subdivision is coterminal with the Bridger Pines 2 PUD, located north of 96th Street and east of Cynthia Ann Road in the far southeast corner of our city. This PUD is adjacent to the Bridger Pines PUD, the original, which is also coterminal with the original Bridger Pines subdivision to its east. The PUD was approved in 2016 with elevations partially shown above. There are a number else in the PUD itself. And then in 2020, Lennar returned a petition for additional approval to allow for certain floor plans to include third-car garages. The PUD committee voted in favor of the new elevations as presented in 2020. These are the 2016 originally approved home elevations, and these are the 2020 approved home elevations. We can see the same architectural integrity and design as the 2016 elevations with the addition of the third car garage. In either of these groups of elevations, the same details applied, such as roofline eyebrows, reverse gables, decorative windows and posts, front brick wainscoting, the whole gamut. For consideration today is the Spencer home. Still has the decorative reverse gable, front brick wainscot, decorative windows, third car garage, side bay window of the garage, except it has a larger front forward garage projection than any of the previously approved home elevations. And as such, it is brought before you today. Here are some other elevations of the home, the Spencer model. This is an example of the floor plan for the Spencer home. As you will notice, there is a next-gen living quarters on the first floor shown in blue. These living quarters share the same entrance and exit, also known as the front door, as the main dwelling and are not provided their own garage and are not registered as a separate address. As such, staff does not view this model as a multifamily dwelling unit. Rather, it is viewed as providing an in-law or nanny suite for guests or family members. It's the additional next-gen living space that forces the garage projection forward and is the reason why we're here today. Staff do not have any concerns with the compliance of this floor plan with the uses and or character of the Bridger Pines 2 PUD. As shown, staff is supportive of this request. All questions and concerns regarding compliance with the standards of the PUD have been addressed, specifically regarding primary structure setbacks and lot coverage. As such, staff recommends approval of the new home elevations as presented. Thank you. Any questions?
Since the garage is now projecting out forward, does that impact what lots it can sit on, impacting the kind of front yard, like shooting on your front yard or the length of your driveway? Setbacks. Yeah, setbacks, things like that.
Yes, I'm sure it would impact certain areas of the community, but that would be something we figure out during the residential permitting phase. So that would be, of course, caught.
Maybe restricted to certain lots that are a little deeper than other lots.
Correct.
Jonah, you may have already answered my question, but in the staff report at the time that was written, it was recommended that the petitioner affirm that the floor plan would be able to meet the
development standards of the PUD. During your presentation, did I hear you say you're satisfied with that now?
Yes, that has been satisfied, correct.
Okay, thank you. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, members of the PD committee. Tony Bagato with Lennar Homes of Indiana. This, I'll try not to repeat too much of what Jonah went over because I do have a similar presentation. The general location, as we've shown, is on 96th Street, just south of Flat Fork Creek Park, and it's a connection of the Bridger Pines project. I think one thing to note, in 2016, I had those same approval. This was under Cal Atlantic. And after that was done, about 2 years or 3 years after that, Lennar and Cal Atlantic merged, basically becoming Lennar. And so some of those changes that were presented in 2020 that the city approved was due to Lennar's model and trying to make sure, though, that it was still consistent with the Midwest market that Cal Atlantic already had in place. And so there's some similarities, but we felt, at the time, in 2020, the city wanted to approve those new elevations. And so then what you're seeing tonight is just the introduction of what we call our Spencer product, and I'll get to those so we can avoid the redundancy. So the Spencer model, the big difference here is the next-gen unit, and as Jonah mentioned, because of the next-gen unit, it makes the garage extend a little bit further. We did go through and check our construction drawings, and all the lot requirements, the pad widths, the homes will fit in that, any lot. And again, this would only be applied to anyone who purchases, so it's not every homeowner that looks at this unit as an option, but we have verified that they should meet all the lot standards within any lot someone picks and that we choose to build this on. Again, it's a 3-car garage. So with a little bit of extension, what you see differently here, and actually I prefer from an architectural standpoint, is you will see a side window on that elevation as there's a longer extension into the front of the home. The material we use is a combination of brick, hardy plank, board and batten, reverse gables. So we're going to have all the same architectural features that are already approved. I think in the discussion with staff, the biggest difference was the length of the garage was not similar to the other approvals, so we just wanted to make sure we came through here for consistency. Again, as touched upon, under most municipal codes, you'd have to have a second kitchen to be a second unit, and there is no kitchen in this unit. And through COVID, not only was it popular for in-laws, but it's also become popular for office spaces for people working from home. And then also with just changing house prices that students come home from college and can't find somewhere to live, and so it's also been popular for that demographic as well. So it's been a very popular home. Again, it's not going to be introduced on every lot. Not everybody chooses this, so they're still going to be the minority within the development, but it is an option that's been introduced in many of the markets that we're building in now. And for material with Lennar, it's all predetermined. I couldn't carry all this in physically, so I tried to bring in pictures again. So the top picture you see is the different colors of the hardy plank. These color options are chosen by the builder ahead of time and selected, and then the homeowner that wants that color will buy those. At least based on today's market, because of the way construction's going, it's a lot easier for us to kind of build it out for cost perspective and know what we're doing, and then we don't actually determine the house price until we're already framed, and then put it under contract. Here's some pictures of the different board materials. Again, there's a large variety, so I didn't have the ability to carry them all in, try to provide them by photo. The one rendering shows kind of a yellow tint brick, and that's not the case. It's more of these white tones, and that's why I wanted to clarify with some of these samples. So again, you'll see here, these are the different colored bricks. Again, a lot of neutral colors and consistent with the other homes that Lennar has built. Lennar under Cal Atlantic has built within Vermilion, Oakhurst, Steeplechase, Welchel Springs, and so these would be similar to those communities with high quality material. This is one that's a model home already in Noblesville and Albany Ridge, and so this is just to show you what it looks like in person, and so you see the different colors and material applied here, and then I wanted to make sure I got an angle of that extended garage. You can see that window there as I was talking about, so I think it actually adds a nice element and feature to that home. And with that, we're just supportive. Overall, the square footage is around 3,500 square feet on this model, and for all four floor plans. So, if you have any questions or.
Thank you. Any questions with Tony?
Just quickly, Tony, go back to the floor plan, if you would.
Yes.
Keep going back one more, yeah, two more. Yeah, right there, perfect. So, looking on I see the rear articulation, which we have to have now. We put in, so we got the kitchen or dining area, whatever is coming off that back end, which I like.
Correct.
But you've got now that separate unit, office, kid from college coming back. Is there an egress point in the back of there, or no?
There are windows along here, and then there is one entry door here as well,
There,
off the
okay,
side.
so there will be a side porch there, or a
Correct.
landing?
Yeah.
Right? What about off the back, off the living space? Are those windows or sliders?
They're sliders and then, or windows, depends if they get a patio option.
Okay,
I think
so there is
these
a-
are actually sliders, but there's a patio option.
Patio option there,
Yeah.
that was my point. Okay, so if they have sliders, they have to take the patio option.
I don't know if they necessarily have to take the patio with the sliders, but they can have patio as an option. We do have the commitment within the PUD that certain lots that back up to the road and the trails, they will have to have the extra features no matter what.
Okay, all right. That's where I was getting to. So,
Yeah.
I mean, literally, this thing's around the corner from my house. And
Yeah.
of course, the predecessor to Lennar built mine, so I'm very familiar with the builder. So, and I have no issues in my house. My house is great. I love my house. But yeah, that was my only point, is that, I'd like to make sure that they push a little bit on the patio side there, 'cause it seems odd to have slider with no, at least landing there. I don't know,
Right.
So I could see the windows with nothing, but I'd like to see if they do sliders that we have a tendency to kind of go, well, you have to land on something, right?
Yeah, I can confirm that. If there's no patio, that may just be the windows. That's a good point.
Because and I'm not really sure you could do that, depending upon the height of the house. You'd have to at least put steps there if you're putting a slider, right? Because you're gonna have to bring them out.
So there are, it looks like, yeah, these are 3 windows and then
Right.
double windows. There is the slider option here, so that
Right.
slider is when there's a
Right, so
patio.
my point is that they'd at least have to have stairs to get up in the house, because it's not gonna be at grade.
Right.
So at some point, I think we need to put a landing there or something, so just wanna make sure.
Yeah, there would be a concrete deck even if they don't do an extended overhang,
Right.
which is the option. The option is for the overhang.
I get the option, bring it out, which is a nice option, but my point is, if you guys have a slider there, it's gotta have steps, and it at least has to have a landing pad.
Right,
Okay, all right. Right, get it out, right, okay.
yeah, that's correct.
That's it.
For the garages, I was looking back through the 2020 approved architecture, and all of the renderings from then have the single car garage and then the double, but I think this is all double and then single. Is that right?
Yeah, so on the other 2020 models, that third option, it's an option. That could be converted actually to part of the home as an office and not have that door in the middle. But in this case, it's recessed off the side. So all these will have a third car, but it's recessed on the side, where the other ones, if they get a third car, it's in the middle between the front door and the garage. But again, they may not choose to have that garage door, and it could be an office area, and then we put a window there for that situation.
So in Spencer, everybody gets 3-car garage.
Right.
Correct, yeah. Yeah.
Standard? Yeah.
I'm trying to see if any of these had they all show the garage doors. I think they were showing it the worst case, but from what I recall, we talked about the ability to have them as storage rooms too.
Right.
Or offices that don't have a garage door, just a window.
Gotcha. Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Just one on the, I guess, go back to the floor plan. Okay, the garage is all connected. It's not like it's a 2-car garage and a 1-car garage. I was trying to picture if it was actually 2 separate garages for the, in the bath for the next gen space. And this I wouldn't see this being a requirement, but I could kind of picture this being an option maybe to consider. If the idea is that this is potentially multi-generational living, the consideration of that bathroom being able to accommodate more handicapped accessibility, a wheelchair, if that's an in-law quarter for someone that's a senior or a senior citizen, or grandparent or somebody that has a mobility issue, maybe just kind of keep that in mind as a consideration of an option from a design standpoint. Just kind of keeping that in kind of multi-generational scenario in mind.
Okay, yeah, I can,
It looks a little tight right now, but it might be just a matter of kind of tweaking things a little bit if you were to offer that as an option. It may
yeah,
be
I can talk to the
beneficial.
team about that.
Hospitals are pretty tight, and they still make them
Yeah,
wheelchair
exactly.
accessible, so, yeah.
So just something to consider from an amenity standpoint, marketing. I do like the idea. I was interested to hear your comment about the kind of home office, because that was immediately what popped into my mind, is kind of that home-based business type of idea, that someone could use that as an office space as well. It wouldn't necessarily have to be a living space.
Right, in my understanding during 2020, that's what mostly sold for people who were just making office space for them to work from home. And again, depending on how office space recovers or not, it's still gonna probably be an option.
Okay, good. I would entertain a motion.
Motion to, is it a favorable recommendation I'm doing, or approval? Okay, motion to approve.
Motion by Pete. Do we have
I'll second it.
That was second by Sean. All those in favor, use the vote and sign aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Good seeing you, Tony. That is our only agenda item that we have for today, so
Motion adjourned.
we are adjourned.
I'll be back in.